Welcome once again back to the lab. It is your old Professor Pilk, and of course, with the incoming Garchomp raid, we need to talk about how this Pokemon is likely to be presented to us, i.e., what are you going to need in order to take him on, and what kind of moves is he going to bring to the table. So, first, let me just discuss the elephant in the room, and that is the ability. So, there are two abilities on board here. That is Sandveil and Rough Skin. And everybody has been saying pretty much, we hope it is Rough Skin. A lot of you guys in the comments said that in the video yesterday or 2 days ago. I hate to burst your bubble. Normally, we do have the hidden ability, but I feel like Rough Skin is kind of redundant. Let me kind of explain why I say that is. So once again, we're using Bulbapedia here. Shouts out to Bulbapedia. We use them every time. It's just the greatest resource for Pokemon in general. So if we go down here to the stats, right? Man, I want a Capri Sun all of a sudden. Basically here, if you look at just the base Garchomp, he's got a lot of HP, a ton of physical attack, a decent amount of physical defense, but special defense is a bit lower, special attack is a bit lower, and speed is through the roof. So I do feel like in this particular situation, Rough Skin is a bit redundant. This is not a Pokemon you really want to take on, as a, with, I guess, physical offense. Not really so much as Metagross. Metagross was a really tough opponent from a physical standpoint, but I think physical is going to be kind of turned up a notch here, or I say turned up a notch, kind of discouraged a bit with Rough Skin. I think it makes a bit of sense, except with your physical defense that high. Now the real question is, does he have access to Iron Defense? Because that might be the big. I'm thinking he does, but if he doesn't, that might be the one thing that might make this an issue. So let's take a look here, and it doesn't look like it. He does have Swords Dance. That is a thing. But I take that back. He actually doesn't have access to Iron Defense. So, really, maybe the Rough Skin isn't as unlikely as I thought it was initially. The thing with Sandveil, the thing that makes Sandveil just a nightmare, and kind of why I think that might be the way this is going, is because for the last few pseudo raids that we've had, the ability has kind of been the big MacGuffin that you have to get around. So Sandveil could be a problem. If you have Sandveil, remember in Sandstorm he's going to increase his basically his evasion, so he's going to be dodging moves left, right, and center. Now he does have access to Sandstorm. He just learned Sandstorm natively. So I would personally kind of prepare for that situation. But you can kind of prepare for both. And, we'll discuss that here. Let's make this just a real quick discussion. So, remember, he is a ground type, and he's going to be natively weak to water, grass, and ice. So, because of that ground Terra, that's going to make him basically pure ground from a defensive standpoint. So those are the three things you need to look at here. So when it comes to water, you're looking for grass, electric. When it comes to grass, you've got flying, poison, bug, fire, and ice. And with ice, you're looking for fighting, rock, fire, and steel. So right out of the gate, I don't see any native fire moves that he learns. But if you come down here, he does have access to Fire Fang. He also can use Sunny Day to boost himself. And even though he's not a great special attacker, he does have access to Flamethrower and Fire Blast. So immediately it means grass types and ice types are highly unlikely to be effective here. Now, also take into account, if you go up here a little bit, normally we're looking in the range of power 80 plus moves. So you're really talking, he does have access to Iron Head, and he does have access to Poison Jab, so that also kind of wipes those out. But he doesn't have access to any grass moves at all, at least none that I can see here. Let's check his egg moves. No, none down there. He does have access to Metal Claw, but that's only power 50, so I don't think that's going to be a thing. He does have access to Thunderfang, but Thunderfang's a pretty low power move, so I find it pretty unlikely he's going to have that. So it does mean that water types are on the table. Water types are a distinct possibility. And really, as I was thinking about this, I was like, he's most likely going to have Earthquake. All of the other pseudos have had Earthquake. I think that's just going to be a common thread here and something very predictable. He is a ground Terra type and a ground type natively. Well, ground, yeah, partially ground, half ground. So having Earthquake makes a ton of sense. That is going to be a devastating move. So what are we really looking at here move-wise? Well, number one, I'm expecting Swords Dance. Where's Swords Dance at? We talked about it earlier. I'm expecting Swords Dance to be on the table. I'm expecting that to be a regular move that he could use all the time to buff his offense. Now, there are ways around that. You could taunt so he can't use it. You could debuff him. You could do any number of things. There's nothing there that seems to be preventing debuffs. So that is something cheeky you can do to kind of like, tear him down a bit. Heck, keep something like Lunge on hand. That could easily keep Swords Dance kind of at bay. I don't think that's necessarily going to wipe it out, but that could kind of like prevent him from being as effective with that. So when it comes to his offense here, like I said, I'm thinking Earthquake. I'm thinking Swords Dance would probably be one of the regular 4 moves. Honestly, we're really talking also Poison Jab and Iron Head, but I really got thinking about this a little bit further. Let's go up here to the regular moves that he learns all the time. So we're really talking. Most of the time, you'd probably think like a dragon move, right? Like Dragon Claw or something of that nature. But I went a little further than that. I was thinking, what if he had Crunch? Crunch is a power 80 dark move, and it'll lower special defense. Now, hear me out. There's a 20% chance to lower special defense, but it's a pretty good chance. Like, he could get that off pretty frequently. And then, your fire moves do become a legitimate threat, right? So there's a high likelihood that he's either, if he doesn't have Poison Jab and an Iron Head, there's a high likelihood he could have Crunch, and then a special attacking fire move, like Flamethrower, would be a great asset there. So there's a lot you got to take into it. Garchomp, the reason I got excited for Garchomp's a great Pokemon. One of my favorite Pokemon. Like, easily way up there. But also a Pokemon that has a lot of capabilities and a lot of uses. So I think we're in for a heck of a run here. Now, I do kind of suspect that he's going to have Sandstorm just as like a regular move. He might even have Swords Dance as just like a move that he does periodically throughout the fight. Maybe he does it like right at the beginning to make himself like super offensively capable, and then does it later on in the fight after like stats are reset or something like that. But I was thinking about this, and it really got me thinking. So I kind of wiped out grass and ice types. I figure they're just out of the picture. But what do we know about water types and ground itself? Okay, so he is going to be immune to electric types, so that's not going to be an option. But flying types are going to be immune to his ground move, and ground is going to be like his big go-to. Earthquake's going to be a devastating attack from him. Well, we do have a water flying type. Now, he's not the greatest thing ever, but it is a Pokemon that we got recently from the gifts. He is a Pokemon, in fact, we got a shiny one if I recollect. He is a Pokemon that a lot of people use in competitive. This guy's got a lot to say for himself. So, if we go down here a little further to what's going on with him. So, let's go down here to this. If you use a Stellar Terra, you will retain resistance to fighting, bug, steel, fire, and water. The only thing you're not going to have resistance to is poison, but that's okay. you'll be completely immune to ground. So we're really talking like, short of Dark, Dragon, and Poison, you do resist a lot of the other moves that are out there. He does have a number of other assets going for him. I'd have to actually really sit down and like figure out how I'd want to build him as far as just a raw fighter goes. But it's a lot of possibility here, a decent amount of possibility. Now the stats aren't phenomenal, but with 100 defense, he'd be able to at least defensively hold his own. And he's got a lot of special attack. Give this guy Surf, or even something better if you've got like moves that can increase his accuracy. Hydro Pump. Heck, an Ice Beam with Stellar Terra would be devastating. So there's a lot. Does he learn Ice Beam? I'd be shocked if he didn't. A lot of ice moves up here, yeah. Ice Beam with a Stellar Terra. Hydro Pump if you can increase his accuracy. There's a lot on the table here. So I'd have to actually sit down and build this guy out. But I think that is, at the moment, probably my number one go-to. I never thought I'd say that. But let me know what you guys think in the comments, as always, down below. Maybe there's some other Mon that I'm not considering. Give me some recommendations. And I'll be back on Thursday with more. We'll actually do some builds here, some like pre-builds. And then on Thursday, we'll be back with the solo runs and see how close I actually was.